live from the Now Media newsroom.
BC was a bit skinny on the news today, but possibly good news internationally is the end of the Russia-Ukraine war finally in sight. The 28-point peace talks going through. What do you think?
It's pretty rough for the Ukrainians to accept it. And Zelensky came out a couple of hours ago saying, we're either going to lose our dignity or we're going to lose America, basically. But he didn't say America. He said like one of our biggest partners or something like that. But they're being asked to shrink their army to 600,000, I think, which is not enough. I mean, that to Canadian ears, that's like, what, 600,000? Like, let's have it. That would be like the biggest army ever from a Canadian perspective, considering we can't recruit anyone. But the Ukrainians aren't going to be happy about that. Also, basically give away the whole Donbass, so Donetsk and Luhansk, and also Crimea. Agree not to join NATO or apply to join NATO. So, like, some other things, to sort of restrictions on the kind of equipment that they can have, I think. And then in return, they get peace. And they also get a promise from America that America will intervene if Russia attacks again. But that already existed anyway. As you don't hear that so much nowadays, but America signed an agreement decades ago pledging to protect Ukraine if it was threatened, to protect Ukraine's borders. And they didn't act on it. So I don't really know what that's going to mean to the Ukrainians, but I think the reality is Trump wants to end this war. Everybody in Ukraine wants to end this war, and basically everybody in Russia wants to end this war, except for a few people. So that's kind of like, I think it's the Trump people and Trump himself is just trying to get this over with any way that that it can be achieved. But this is going to upset the Ukrainians if it happens.
Well, and the Ukrainians had a much better deal offered, what was it, March of 2023, if they would have taken that one? So are they going to take this one? Let it go further down?
Yeah, they were offered, they had a much better, a much better deal on the table not long after the war started.
Yeah.
I think it was Boris Johnson as well, was a very, very consequential intervention from him. And he basically said, no matter what happens, like, we'll be there for you, kind of thing. Like, don't give in, don't surrender.
And now they've
lost.
But
like everything else that Boris Johnson has ever done, it looks very foolish and ill-judged.
Indeed. Oh, we've got actually Zelensky talking. Let's listen to him.
Бажаю здоров'я. Сьогодні у мене була зустріч з представниками Сполучених Штатів, вагома делегація і дуже серйозна розмова. Американська сторона надала свої пропозиції, пункти плану, щоб закінчити війну. Їхнє бачення. Ми з перших днів війни займаємо одну надзвичайно просту позицію. Україні потрібен мир. І справжній мир, такий, який не зламає третє вторгнення. Достойний мир, щоб умови були з повагою до нашої незалежності, нашого суверенітету, до гідності українського народу. І ми саме такі умови маємо забезпечити. Я окреслив, що саме для нас.
Sounds so much cooler in Ukrainian, doesn't he? He sounds almost sounds a bit daft when he speaks English, but in Ukrainian he's got some real gravitas.
Kind of like our
But yeah, I mean,
MPs.
shouldn't be taking the P because it's an extremely solemn address that he's made there. It's a very serious address, and as usual, really, whenever I look at this story, I just feel so much pity for the Ukrainian people. I just feel so bad for them. And as I've mentioned before when we've talked about Ukraine, it's just been non-stop for the Ukrainians. It's been non-stop, going back decades and centuries. They're just always being screwed over, the Ukrainians, and God bless them, frankly.
Indeed. Indeed. And the U.S. is to deem countries promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, mass immigration, transgender surgeries, and more as human rights violators. That's an interesting one.
This is hilarious, isn't it? This just came out today, I think. This is like more bad news. The JD Vance thing, there's plenty of other things as well coming out of America. It's not good, is it? Because Canada's one of the few countries that's still going absolutely gung ho on DEI and all the rest of that kind of,
Yeah, all of
the fringe left critical ideas that originated in the American universities. The Americans have worked that through their system to some extent, at least. Canada's still feasting at the banquet, of these now discarded American ideas, and to the extent that the Americans are even saying, "Oi, like if you keep our ideas from 20 years ago, we're going to punish you."
Well, and the UK could have completely avoided COVID-19 lockdowns if officials had taken the virus seriously in early 2020. An inquiry.
Yeah, an inquiry, $370 million inquiry, has come out and told them what is obvious to most people in Britain, something that I've been saying for decades, which is that the British ruling class, the administrators in Britain, in the British system, are dangerously, very, very dangerously incompetent, incapable, and stupid, including this gigantic fool who you see a picture of here, who is responsible for this. I mean, I was actually in England, and in January 2020, and I can remember everything was about COVID in China, and I think it arrived in Italy or something by that point, and they were starting to like worry about it in Italy, and in Britain, these absolute buffoons, these morons, and it's no problem for us. It's not going to be any concern for us. Obviously, like, just go about your business. It's totally fine, everybody. And I think there was a little bit of like, don't be stupid and get masks or anything like that. Like, stop wasting your time. And it was the same in British Columbia and across Canada, I should say. And now, obviously, we learned from the Swedes. The Swedes actually implemented a plan that the British government had prepared years before for the possibility of a coronavirus spreading. British actually had that idea in place and then chose to ignore it because Boris Johnson is, as I say, almost dangerously stupid. The Swedes implemented it and ended up having the best results of basically anybody in the world when it came to COVID, and they didn't have to lock down. It's tragic. But this is the thing, it's like, sometimes it can just be, it feels like it's just a parlor game, or it's just like a dinner party conversation. Like, oh yeah, David Eby, as an example, like, God, he's stupid, isn't he? Or Justin Trudeau, wow, what a moron. Like, he keeps making mistakes. Like, there are very, very real consequences. It's not just like a laugh at a dinner party. It can be like the near destruction of your economy, as happened in Britain, and the deaths of God knows how many people, and so much misery inflicted on a population. Having incompetent leaders it's devastating. It's one of the worst things that can happen to your country, and it's deadly serious.
And another deadly serious headline: France's top military officer called for a willingness to sacrifice children and urged cities to prepare for potential war.
They're mad, aren't they, the French? A lot of the Swedes have been saying things like this as well. And they're not usually mad, the Swedes. But the French, I don't know, man. From day to day, you'll hear different kind of apocalyptic vision coming out of some French official. Often they come out and say something about an impending civil war and how Islamists are going to take over France and stuff like that. So, I don't know. But in this case, I don't know. I mean, it's on the face of it true, isn't it, that if you go to war, then that really does require a lot of sacrifices.
And another piece of American news: Trump is going to meet Zoran Mandami, the mayor of New York, today.
Go on and on. You have a person who wants to further increase taxes and devastate New York, and he wants to nationalize grocery stores and other things. I can tell you there's a lot of people who have gone into the White House before and tried to make a scene and tried to have a big PR event, and I think most of the people got laughed out of it. I mean, we saw that with Zelensky, I think. I could probably name 25 people who went into the White House trying to be tough guys, and it didn't end up all that well for them. You know, my father's, I think, performs probably better than anybody in that moment, but we'll see. I mean, my father loves New York. He cares about New York. He wants to see the best for New York. So he would have an open door, and I'm proud of him for having an open door. I don't think this is the right direction from New York. I hope this guy is a lot more bravado than he is real action, but we'll see tomorrow. And you know, and again, this is Donald Trump at his best. You know, if the guy wants to showboat, I think, you know, he'll showboat right back. And there's no one that does that better than the commander in chief, as you know better than anybody,
Wow.
Laura. Go.
So they're talking about like it's The Apprentice or American Idol or something, aren't they? Which I guess is not too far away from reality.
Do you wrestling?
But it's, yeah, I mean, I say that, and yet at the same time, obviously, I'll be watching that, and I'll get the popcorn out. So I'm as bad as everyone else, really.
Yeah, and I think that mayor, he got in because citizens of New York were voting against continuing to support the war in Israel. I really think that was the key issue.
Yeah, he was very anti-Israel, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But he was also kind of, he was offering a kind of socialism.
Quite socialist, yeah. So we'll see.
And I think there's an appetite for that in places like New York, because even though that's like the richest city in the world by, you know, if you just look at the numbers, the reality of life there for
day to day
a lot of people is pretty limited. It's pretty miserable for a lot of people in New York City. So, you know, they're open to whatever, they're open to mad ideas because they're sick. They're sick of it.
I think Canadians are going to get to that point sooner than later as well. And for the first time in 10 years, there were no landfalling hurricanes in the U.S. this season. That's some good news. Just kind of luck.
Yeah, that is good news, isn't it?
Yeah. Good luck
They're
there.
not nice, are they, hurricanes?
No, quite devastating. But we did see a fire at the COP30 climate talks. Kind of what Elizabeth May's been warning about.
Wasn't it set? I thought it was arson, I'd heard, but I'm completely,
Yeah, I think
I'm not informed on this one.
I heard that as well. It is kind of fishy, just a building breaking out, you know? So who knows?
But the COP has been, these talks have been exposed as just completely ridiculous waste of time, haven't they? Like they had a big, they were going to write something like I don't know, a memo or something that they all signed, like a declaration, and that's fallen apart today. And they've removed any mention of fossil fuels. It's just, you know, the consensus that existed in like 2015 and a little bit after that, that's gone now. And
The world has moved.
I don't know, it seems like a lot of people at conventions like this haven't figured that out yet. I don't think they quite realize how dead that, you know, that ideology is now, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Canada seems to be the only one still flogging that dead horse. And Fugees rapper sentenced to 14 years in prison for funneling millions to Obama's campaign.
This is just like the craziest story that I've read today. But I've put it right at the end because obviously it's America and it's like maybe less for us to talk about. But this is just insane. Like a famous musician given 14 years in prison. The Justice Department wanted life imprisonment. Leonardo DiCaprio testified, and it's all about some Malaysian billionaire who tried to funnel millions of dollars, like $120 million or something like that, tried to funnel that into Barack Obama's 2012 presidential campaign. This is a totally insane story. I can't believe it's not getting more attention, frankly.
We don't just report the news, we live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.